Good afternoon. My name is Luke Bencie, and I'd like to welcome you to the Jack Ryan Shadow Recruits Covert Espionage Experience. Your instructors today will be former CIA officers and FBI agents, and we welcome you to conduct operational acts on the streets of Los Angeles. Today, you're going to learn how to conduct operational surveillance. We're going to be doing foot surveillance out on the streets using the ABC method. The ABC method is one of the most common techniques used by law enforcement, intelligence, military, and even criminal organizations around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for coming out today. You've gone through the training. You're no longer journalists. You're all operational now.
Good afternoon, recruits. Welcome to Operation Red Shadow. You're no longer journalists. You're now operational. And today, hopefully, you're going to help us find the spy. The goal of intelligence operations, like the one you see in the Jack Ryan film, it's obviously to get secret information about your adversaries. Very hard job because our adversaries are always trying to conceal that information from us. So when you're on the street today, you'll be looking at the demeanor of the people you're following, to see, do they look like they're tensing up, or they may be telegraphing some action they're going to do, because as I said, they get tense, they take that last breath before they make that commitment.
I started a company myself called Security Management International, where I now have a pool of resources where I can pull some of these legends from the CIA and FBI and some other government agencies. Surveillance, what is it? Surveillance, the surreptitious, continuous, and sometimes periodic watchings of persons, vehicles, and places or objects to obtain information. Surveillance is not just an intelligence thing. Surveillance, particularly what we're going to teach you today, the ABC method, is a method that criminals know this. Terrorist groups, Al-Qaeda knows how to do the ABC method, what you're going to learn today. ABC method's been around for decades. It really, I think, was a law enforcement technique first. I know the Bureau guys definitely used it. It basically means it's a frequent changing of the eye. This is supposed to be a neighborhood block, and this is our target. So the person, and in our parlance we'll say, maybe we'll call it a rabbit. The person that you're following is the rabbit. So this is your rabbit, you're following down a city block. And the person who is in the A position, the person who is directly behind him, is called the eye. So your person in the A position is the eye. Behind the eye, then you have, behind the A position is the B position. And then directly across the street or walking parallel is going to be your person in the C position. However, your C position has to stay slightly out of his view. You don't want him to be in your peripheral vision, or you don't want to be in his peripheral vision. So if the target's walking down the street and he goes and he makes a sharp turn on this corner, what do you think the A person does, the eye? Straight. Straight, exactly, yeah. He is just going to continue and cross the street, and then he will get in a C position over here. Now, who do you think then is going to take over the eye? Actually, it's C, because C is going to be further up ahead. So C then will cross the street, and C will now move into the A position, and this B person will stay in the same, okay?
Planning is the most important thing. So you probably haven't walked this route before, because you wouldn't want to showcase that to people behind you. So it's a kind of a new route, but you would have done it on Google and you would have known the route. And the equipment you have to use, the electronics you practice this, and it's part of kind of who you are, and you're very aware of the fact that you need to just look calm, like you're out for a walk. I came to that through my first husband, who worked as a paramilitary officer in Laos during the Vietnam War. I was a wife there, and I did secretarial work. And then he was killed in a helicopter crash. And so when I came back to the United States, a friend said, why don't you become an officer like he was? So that's how I came to do that.
Well, many times harder are the static cameras that you really need to know where they are. And you did in 3 hours what it usually takes us about 3 weeks to map out and to plan out, just to make sure there are no cameras that are going to be spotting you when there's an operational act that you're going to make.
When we put somebody undercover, at least in the Bureau, I'm sure the CIA is the same way, we create a whole new identity for that person, going way back to their childhood, everything, school years. So we have to, it makes it a little bit more difficult today because everything is so much more accessible. And you've got to, if somebody shows up and they've never had an email address and they're 45 years old, what do you do? I mean, so you have to backtrack a lot.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Test.
Something. Be so careful. All right, Mark.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Look and run.